Progress in the sense that we've all tried very hard with our teams to track down everyone's availability and to see the Venn diagram. Bearing in mind your dates, man, but I mean, to be honest, unsurprisingly, given people's commitments and so on, it's not been possible to find, I think, more than one day when everybody can do the hearing. So we've come back to you really with that report, and just to put that before you and canvass your thoughts on it, really, man. We've looked obviously up until really June at the moment, in the hopes obviously we could find 3 or 4 days in that window. There are some moments where more rather than fewer of us can be available, but there are no 4 days where all of us can do it.
So going on into June, there's presumably some potential. June.
Yes, I mean, ma'am, what I was going to...
I'm just thinking out loud.
Yes, of course.
That's then divorced from all the rest of the evidence that we'll be hearing, hopefully, end of this week, sort of beginning of next week, and the bit in April. Then the problem for me is then reporting is then leapfrogs on till I can't start reporting then till mid-September. So that's a long gap.
It is, ma'am. I mean, it would be if that was the outcome. I mean, our thoughts on that, we've given quite a lot of thought to the pros and cons of dealing with things as soon as we can, or basically on the current programme as much as possible, as opposed to leaving things or moving things to later in the year. The one area where we think it doesn't make a huge amount of sense to deal with it this week, and obviously in addition to heritage, is the character and appearance roundtable session, because our evidence is obviously given by Dr. Mealy on that in large part. Along with others, and so it would be very strange, I think, to have a bit of that, and then for him to come back and I don't know, somehow make some more points or something like that later in the year. So I think that one would probably have to go along and sit alongside the heritage session whenever that can take place. The others, we best of a bad job. We recognise that. Those other issues could probably be dealt with as we're proposing to. I know that it's difficult, ma'am, to report on things, when you've only had part of the case, but at least some of them, the matters will have been covered, probably in as much evidential detail as you're going to get in that, in the next week or so. There'll be submissions, obviously, but at least, ma'am, you might have some material to start working on the report on. And we'd slightly prefer that rather than, well, I'd say slightly. We, the applicant anyway, forgive me, we would definitely prefer to use as much of our current slot as possible rather than looking to bump the whole thing, because that has obviously much more severe ramifications to how much longer we'd need, the slot we'd need, when that would be trying to make the most of what we've got.
Okay, so we're looking then at Thursday, 3 round table sessions, and Friday, 2 round table sessions. It might be that the Thursdays, the time that they take, means that we do need all of Friday as well. Site visits Monday, Tuesday next week.
Yes.
Planning conditions we can do, and the planning obligations. Will we be keeping the planning witnesses on the 25th of April?
That was the most recent thinking.
I think, ma'am, I think that was the position that we had yesterday, and I think as things stand, that would still be our preference. It partly depends, I think, on when we come back, when we're able to come back and do the heritage work. Most of the points, obviously, ma'am, are subject to your, the evidence and your findings on heritage anyway. So it is rational, I think, sensible still to do the planning when it's currently programmed, even if we are, it's 2 or 3 or 4 months before we have to come back.
Okay.
What I was going to say on dates, man, was that we've been beavering away trying to sort out, the next few weeks, the next couple of months. We haven't, I think, between us, have we, done an exercise where we've tried to map a Venn diagram of who's available through June and July.
I've got no availability really, just no meaningful availability. So
no,
it would
okay, I think
be
that was probably what I did.
mid-September.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that was the conclusion that we were tentative
So we
coming
commencing
to.
something like the 19th.
Sorry, I'm away that week, 19th to the 23rd.
So that would be week commencing the 26th then.
Well, ma'am, I think we would just have what we haven't done. I think. I mean, I've made very initial inquiries of my learned friends, at least, on who's available at that point, just so that we could say something sensible to you today about September. But we'd need to do the whole job, obviously, with our witnesses and so on as well, before we decided anything.
So we've got advocate availability for the week of the 26th.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Have we got advocate availability for week commencing the 26th?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be 3 days, heritage, Monday to Wednesday, break on the Thursday to allow for preparation of closings, and then closings on the Friday.
Yeah, with potentially, ma'am, I was going to suggest a short session to pick up anything on conditions or the 106 that was still left over on the Thursday morning.
Yeah.
I think it would be, since we'd be looking for the entire week, I think it makes sense just to provide for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be better to do it in person to allow for longer sitting days?
Yes, I hadn't raised that with my learned friend, but I had been thinking about that, ma'am. It might be more efficient, and I think I completely understand the risks that have led to COVID being a factor for the virtual hearings now, but I think one would hope that by September we'd be in a position to do it personally. It might be more efficient use of time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, madam, just to say on that front, I can't commit without taking instructions, but I'd hope at this distance that the council can provide accommodation for an inquiry for that week of the 26th. But, mum, can I just check in terms of September? And it's, if it has to be the week of the 26th, it has to be the week of the 26th. I go into a 3-week case the following week, and I was wondering whether there was anything earlier in September that was available. But for example, because I think, an earlier week. But if there isn't, then there isn't, and we'll make do with that week. But I was just wondering whether there was anything earlier in September that could be done.
If it's helpful, I could rearrange things and do week commencing the 12th, but that's the earliest.
Yes, we can do that, ma'am.
Mr. Linus?
I have a penciled in date for the York local plan examination, but it hasn't yet been confirmed. So I think if it was going to make a difference to everyone else, I could make myself available on the 12th. I think my preference would be the 19th, frankly, because it was a date that's been penciled in, but I'd leave it up to you, ma'am.
But Ms. Strike can't do the 19th.
All right. I think my preference would be the 26th, but I understand there's a range of interest involved, ma'am.
No. Well, okay. The 26th it is then, because it's not that it's just that I prefer to be preparing for the following 3 weeks. It's not that I've got anything on that week, so my hand is weaker than yours, Mr. Linus. So I will say 26th it is then.
I'm grateful.
Okay. So go week.
Could we before we fix it, ma'am? Sorry to interrupt. Could I just backtrack one stage, just so that obviously we have to consider a whole range of things, including team
Witnesses,
presentation.
accommodation,
My understanding is obviously that in terms of June and July, it's actually not possible even to rejig a sequence of single days, and Mondays or anything like that, because of your availability.
Sorry.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No, don't apologise.
I just wanted. It was all kept being displaced by work. It's all had to go.
I was just checking. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, in terms of which September date we do,
I can do the 19th of. I can cancel things and do the 19th of July, but that's just going to be one random day.
I'm not available that day anyway, Mum. So.
Okay, there we go.
July is out.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Okay, no, ma'am. I just wanted to be absolutely clear about that. Don't apologise. Okay, fine. So, just on the which week it is of September, I know that it sounds. I don't know. In the context of the delay, we've had to consider a small point, but another couple of weeks does make a difference. In the end, obviously, your report's got to go off to the Secretary of State, and everything is yet further delayed. So I'd be keen, if I don't know whether Mr. Linus can do anything about the week of the 12th, but I'd be as keen as possible to get this as early as we can. I appreciate his position, but it's a very long delay that we're having to suffer anyway.
I understand Mr. Warren's point, but I hope he would understand that it's a date that has been penciled in as part of a long-running case, and obviously my preference would be to keep it. And bearing in mind the delay, possibly 2 weeks isn't a great deal more to wait. But I understand his point, but I'm sure he understands mine.
I think the 26th, the week commencing the 26th, is just looking like the best fit, and even then we don't know about witnesses.
I don't have any knowledge of any witness constraints at our end, ma'am. So I think the 26th would work for us.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go week commencing the 26th. We'll do.
I'm going to have to take instructions, ma'am.
Yeah.
So this is subject to, from my point of view, again,
Yeah.
sorry, to have to take instructions about the overall shape of it. But we need to have this discussion, obviously, to allow me to do that. But yeah, subject to. Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at. Yeah.
So, Mr. Booth, the council needs to see if there's accommodation available.
Yes, madam. I'll look to report back to you within the next 24 hours on that.
But that won't affect the date, because we can still do it virtually if needs be, and we'll always need to have the virtual as a digital. I mean, as a backup anyway, just in case.
Yeah.
You don't know with individuals being affected by illness or COVID or whatever, or where we are going to be with the COVID generally. Then, I think it's fortunate that we've done it. That we'd run this as a virtual event in the circumstances of the increasing rates at the moment.
Agreed. Yes, several of my team have got it at the moment. In terms of facilities, when the council, through Mr. Booth, is kindly looking at this issue, we obviously need to make sure that there is technology available to be able to run the film at a suitable size so that you and others can actually see it in the room. Yeah. Rather than looking at it on a laptop, if you like. I mean, that's been done obviously at other inquiries, but certainly when Dr. Mealy gives his evidence, eventually that will be quite an important part of his evidence in chief, making comments and giving opinions about the film.
This is the 360-degree one. There's 4 little.
That's right.
There's a moving.
Yeah, there's a move on the Thames Path. There's a moving shot along that stretch.
Okay, well, on that basis, Mum, we're going to, at the council's end, look to arrange, if we possibly can, accommodation for the 5 days of that week of Monday the 26th. And then we will also look to make sure that there is a sufficient IT so that you can view on a screen the film.
Yeah. And it's would still need to be live streamed as well.
And
same
it will
as
need
the
to be
first
live
day,
streamed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I would say I would have to travel down on the Sunday to be able to, whether it starts at 9:30 or 10, either way, I'd have to travel down the night before. So will other people travelling or?
Yes. I mean, the only other, I'm just thinking, man, the only other option is if travel is difficult or if it's an issue with the Monday, one other option is to start on the Tuesday and then close the following week. So there's the weekend rather than single day.
No, I cannot do the following week.
Sorry, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that, Mr.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem, the travelling on Sunday.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the best start time to make the use of the time that we've got to avoid any possibility of overrun.
Yeah.
If we start at 9:30, I mean, if I don't want people to incur expense unnecessarily, whether we start at 9:30, 10:30, or even 11:30 on the Monday, I would still have to come down the night before. So if I'm coming down the night before, 9:30 start, 9 o'clock, any of that's fine by me. But I don't know about other people, whether that means you would have to travel if you didn't otherwise need to.
Ma'am, I'd be travelling, but don't treat that as a constraint on timing on the Monday.
I think we're fine on that score.
So shall we say
we're fine on that score also,
Yeah.
Madam.
So what time do you want to start on the 9 or 9:30?
Should we say
9:30?
9:30?
9:30.
9:30 every day then, or well, we'll see
Yes.
how we go.
Yes.
Where we are at the end of the first day. So 9:30 on the 26th of September. Council's going to look for accommodation. You and your witnesses all okay for that week, Ms. Striak? Or do you need to check?
I think we'll be okay.
Okay. So it's just the other parties need to just check with their witnesses.
Yeah, no, I can confirm that ours we're available.
Yeah, we're
for
available.
that.
Okay.
Madam, can I just check then? So we're looking at the 26th for that week, and we're also looking so for accommodation, for tech for the film, and also live streaming. But in terms of everything else, we've got, I think we've got Thursday, Friday this week, obviously in terms of roundtables, site visits Monday, Tuesday next week, or 20th. Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, and on the 30th. We are going to go ahead with conditions and roundtable that day, but there may be spillover into this 26th September week. Is that's the position?
That's my understanding, yes.
I think that's right. I mean, we could have, just picking up on the point I made about the character and appearance roundtable session, which I would certainly suggest is best left until we've got Dr. Mealy, who's giving our evidence on that. He would have been the person doing most of the talking for us at that roundtable session. That may have to go either before or after we actually start the heritage. I mean, it could go on the Thursday, the 29th of that week, in the morning.
I think from our point of view, it'd be better to have it after the heritage witnesses are heard, because it will obviously affect what needs to be said at the round table.
But the Thursday would fit.
The Thursday would fit. Yes, ma'am. I mean, we may not need to appear at the round table if the evidence has been heard.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then we've still got planning evidence on the 25th of April. We'll come back for that one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
But that means that we can, if you like, where are we? Vacate the follling day and the day after that we.
Yes, the 26th and 27th can both go, can't they?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll try and work on the planning conditions today then. Have I had the seal compliance statement yet from the council?
Madam, you have not had that. I'll make sure that gets sent through today. It's been completed.
Thank you. And I've got the latest drafts of the planning obligations.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in the library, are they?
I'll check, ma'am, but they certainly should. You've had, if not today's or yesterday's, a recent copy. I mean, I think what we'll do is after we finish today, I'll just check where we are, and if there is a material step forward, if you like, on the 106, I'll make sure that's uploaded.
Do it'll save me just checking back through lots of emails that I've had from the case officer, the PINS case officer. If you could just send to the case officer the latest version of the 2 obligations, so that then she can send them to me, and I know then for sure I'm working from the latest versions.
Yes, we'll do that, ma'am.
That would be easier. So the council's going to send me the SIL compliance statement.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Yeah. So that will need going into the library, into the ID2 documents. While we're on documents, I know that there's been a number of backwards and forwardsing. People are trying to submit documents, and I keep batting them back saying I need to hear your views on them. So are there any documents that people are looking to submit still that I need to hear about?
Ma'am, we mentioned 2 documents a few days ago at the inquiry, the ICMOS technical report on this scheme, as well as the periodic report in 2014. And I think it was left where you're going to ask for the other parties to confirm whether they had any issues with those documents going in. That's one matter which it would be useful to resolve now, even though the heritage isn't going to be heard for some months from now.
So did anybody have any views on whether it was appropriate to accept those to the inquiry?
No, I think any concerns we may have had, ma'am, are overridden by the length of time we've got to consider it before Dr. Mealy gives evidence. So
I'm happy to accept those to the inquiry, Mr. Linus. If you could forward them to the case officer,
we'll do that,
and confirm that I've agreed those. I think, Ms. Striak, you were looking to introduce some more documents.
Yes, I submitted 2, and I sent an email last night then saying why. Sorry, and I haven't got the information to hand, but that was in the email. So it's up to the I think the other parties to come back on that before.
I think that, your latest email, I think, said it pointed to the particular sections of the documents that you were looking to rely on, didn't it? It highlighted those. Again, is everybody content that I accept those then to the inquiry?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I haven't seen those yet, ma'am. I'm very sorry. May I take instructions briefly? I'll just do so while we're talking and come back to you, I hope, before we finish the session.
So,
Well, if I can say, my Teams keeps freezing on me today, so I am having problems keeping up with everything. But I assume that Mr. Warren is going to just check and then come back to you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So with those documents, I think I can't remember now what they are, but if they're sizable documents, if you could include a front page that just along the lines of your email that just said the relevant bits that you're drawing particular attention to, so that's in the library with them. I think that would help people going back to them. Was there anything from you, Mr. Booth? Any documents?
No, madam, no other documents. Just one point I wanted to check, though, was in terms of the site visits. It may be that I've missed it in terms of times and meeting places, but if we haven't discussed those already, my team were just wanting to confirm what the arrangements were.
I also wanted for the site visits. Have we got the? Can't find a piece of paper. Have we got a route for that? A finalised route? Yes. Because what I would like to do for the Kew Gardens one on the Monday afternoon, there's reference in the management plan to existing views from the park and the buffer zone of tall buildings out with the buffer zone and the park. I think I've got it written down, so I just can't find it because I wasn't. Some towers.
Haverfield estate, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was something like the QI and the British Gas.
QI, yeah.
We
can point those out to you.
At the minute. But if those could be, whatever the route is, can include those, if someone can point those out to me as well, please.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take a note of that. It's absolutely certain that your route will take in Certainly they have revealed TARS, I'm sure as well QI. The other ones we'll make a list of and ensure those are pointed out to you on the route, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. So we don't need to do it now, but if the information is available now, a meeting place.
So, are we talking about? It froze on me again. Are we talking about Monday? It's Monday afternoon, isn't it?
Monday afternoon, yes.
At what time?
How long do you think the route is going to take?
I think it's something like an 8-kilometre route, and we'll be walking and stopping. Yeah, exactly. So probably about, I don't know, 2.5 hours.
3 hours, maybe. Yeah.
3, yeah.
But it will be much lighter evenings then.
Yes, exactly.
So if we said 1:30.
So that's 1:30 on Monday, madam. It's being suggested to me that you meet at the Kew Tube station.
Sorry, I thought we were starting at Richmond station and going to Kew, that direction.
Oh, right. I don't know.
Richmond, yeah, I think it's easiest to meet at Richmond station. Sorry, and I missed the time because it froze again.
1:30
p.m.
That's one. Thank you.
Yes.
Where are the routes in the core documents?
I don't think
they ID1.
I don't think they're there.
I'm struggling to pull them up at the moment, actually.
So could the route needs to be agreed,
which I think it is.
Yeah,
so,
I thought it had been, but yes, if the two itineraries could be put on the website, that would be great. But then, so it's 1:30 p.m. meet on the Monday at Richmond Station. And then in terms of second day's visits,
there is only one Richmond station, isn't there?
Yes.
I got caught out coming to Hounslow with all the multitude of stations. I thought I'd arrived at one, and turned out I'd arrived at a completely different one.
Eastern Central. No, there's only one of those. Ma'am, the site visit itineraries, the core documents 11.5.1 and 11.5.2. Which I think that, and the first one confirms what you've just been talking about in terms of where to meet. Richard, it doesn't have an arrow actually, but the dotted line starts at Richmond Station and then goes north.
Yes, it does. Yes, it doesn't. Yes, it looks like you could do it either way. I don't know, but so Richmond.
But it says at the bottom.
I did mine. I started the other way. I got off at Kew.
Yeah.
Did the route. Came out at Richmond. Yeah. Right. 1:30 Richmond Tube. And then day 2 we can sort at the end of day 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I can confirm, ma'am, in relation to the 2 OGRA documents that we're content for those to go in. We don't have any problem with those.
Okay.
Thank you.
So they'll go on to the library today, will they?
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm sure you'll be aware of it. Can I just confirm that we will not be appearing at any of the roundtable sessions now programmed because they don't have a heritage content?
That's fine. Yep.
Thank you, ma'am.
But you will for the planning conditions and the planning obligations?
I'm not sure we will, ma'am. Perhaps we can let you know through the case officer. We may not need to attend those sessions. I don't have any instructions at this stage to appear, but we can confirm one way or the other before those sessions are.
If you're there, we'll see you, and if you're not, you're not.
Yes, we don't mean to be rude by not turning up. So.
No, that's all taken as read. Silk compliance, section 106 is coming in. The documents we've agreed. They'll go on to the library. Yeah, still compliance will need to go onto the library. The planning obligations already in there or not?
I think Tesco is. I think Homebase is still awaited. So we'll make sure that, as I said earlier, that you have those.
But if you can let me have them by email as well, separately, which might be a bit quicker, so I can crack on with those. All right, lovely. So unless there's some huge problem, so witnesses are all okay, advocates are all okay, I'm okay. We need a venue, but if the very worst came to the very worst, we could still do it virtually. If there's just no chance of a venue, we'll just have to go with longer days on screen. So everybody can note that we'll be resuming then, well, obviously after we've done the other days that are to come shortly. It'd be then we would adjourn on the 25th of April to the 26th of September, 9:30. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Is that everything?
No, sorry.
It is, ma'am. Yeah.
Apologies. Can I check the roundtable timings now for Thursday and Friday? Because with various people involved, it can get a bit complicated. So we've got public transport first and then roads. So that will be the morning session, and then the afternoon session, environmental impact.
But they're not fixed. Yeah, you've frozen on my screen. Can you still hear us?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Did I freeze that?
You froze for me, yeah. So we'll start at 9:30, and the sessions will take as long as they take. The topics will take as long as they take. What the problem is, sort of the length of the sitting sessions, because of the eye strain and everything else working on the screen. But so I would say that we would start both days at 9:30. That's the Thursday and the Friday. So it might be that there's some spillover. I don't know.
Sorry, and you froze on me. Sorry.
So there might be some spillover. I don't know. For instance, with the environmental impacts on the Thursday afternoon.
Sorry, it froze again, because my issue is I've got various team members coming to my house at different times for the different sessions. I think we'll see how day one goes.
See how it goes. Yeah,
exactly. All right. Okay.
So just starting at 9:30. So we won't know until the day whether we're going to get all that we plan to on the Thursday on that day. I mean, hopefully we would.
Yes.
But you can't know until we start to have the conversation.
Right. Agreed. And ma'am, I know you've sent a draft agenda, so presumably there'll be a.
Well, that was going to be my last question. Has everybody seen the version that I sent out? Is there anything else that needs adding to it?
Madam, just so I'm clear as to what versions, because there were a lot of drafts going around, might you resend the agendas for the various roundtables, and I can ensure that my team have all got them?
Yeah. I mean, again, obviously, I've not gone through the evidence that relates to those in any detail at this point in time.
No, madam, that's understood.
That's kind of my swift understanding of the things that are likely to be raised. Really, I'm just looking to focus the discussion at those various sessions. So even if it doesn't specifically say something, it might be that it's captured by an umbrella heading. So if what's in there is what you're expecting and you think covers all that you wanted to discuss, we can take those as the final version. So I'll get the case officer to resend them. And if there's anything that you think does need adding that's a glaring omission, let me know and I can just quickly revise them. Otherwise we'll work, although it says although it says draft on it, we'll just take them as read. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think Ms. Striak, you wanted a bit more information about how the roundtable sessions work.
Yes, please.
It's a structured discussion looking at the particular topics, I think most of the topics are things that you've and your various members have raised, as well as other interested parties have raised. So it's not question and answer. So I would say, I haven't got a draft in front of me, but say we'll be on a particular topic, and I'd say, well, Mr. Riak, would you like to kick us off? Just give me a brief summary of your, because I'll have read all the evidence in detail by then. Give me just a brief overview of your particular concerns on this particular topic, and then I'll ask for the applicants, whoever's represented the applicant, to sort of come back, and we just have a discussion around the evidence.
Okay.
It's not a presentation of cases or anything.
I understand.
It's a much more focused way of getting to the information. Yeah, hopefully.
Right. All right. Thank you
In my
very
experience, they work very well. They do the job, and yeah, allow people to say what they need to say.
Thank you. It was helpful to look at some of the YouTube videos.
Yeah, so the discussion will follow the agenda, keeps it focused, and then it's led by myself.
Yeah, thank you.
So there's no cross-examination or anything. Any direct questions, in theory, that need to come through me, you can't ask direct, but generally I find it helps the discussion if I do allow questions to be asked across the table, but it's not formal cross-examination.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Not from
In
us,
which
madam.
case, I will get to work on conditions and planning obligations, and I'll see everybody at 9:30 on Thursday.
Lovely.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
madam.
All right. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.